you're 40, 50 years old and there's self-doubt, there's this, there's this, and you got to kind of go backwards to fix them, right? But it's crazy because I get to see some really amazing transformations of people that are, 20 years old and they just break right through because they may not have had that many bad habits, or they're 40 years old and, most billionaires are created when they're 40 years old or 50 years old because you've lived life a certain way up until this point. You've lived life a certain way. You've had your belief will go through the roof. Niels is showing the extreme ownership book. I know, guys. I know, man. I've done this enough, in my life to know that, like, most people won't read the book. Most people won't run the play. Most people, they're going to run 60% of the play and then look up in 90 days and be like, well, Ian, I feel a little different. I'm like, bitch, you missed half the fucking work. We are not running from the work in this group. All the other groups, any other shit they're doing, dude, they might be running from the work. We, in this group, we're starting out with extreme ownership, and we're just addressing all the shit we don't like. We're ripping the Band-Aid off and going hard. We're doing the gym every day. So, here's what I got, man. I got a couple things that I want to go over with you, and this is really the things that I think about every day. Part of the formula to mental toughness is you got to have grit. You got to have fortitude. You got to have confidence. If you have confidence that you can beat these problems that you're going through, if you have confidence because Niels loses 20, 30 pounds and he reads the extreme ownership and he's on fire, does that change the next 10 years of his life in 1 year and 90 days? Yeah. If he has more grit than he's had over the last several years because he earns a new story with himself, what happens to him? What happens to him? What happens to his belief? It changes. And the craziest thing is, it could change right now. Like, it's changing right now. The fact that you made this decision, you should have more momentum in your life. Right? Like, you're like, hey, I'm committed. When you guys commit to something, you feel more about you, but I've got to be on some type of a challenge. I've got to be on some type of a push. I've realized that I'm not that great of a person when I'm just a feather in the wind. Like, when I'm not accountable to a group. When I got rules, Michael, I am playing a different game. So I want you to write a couple things down. I want you to think about this today. Grit is the strength to show up daily, day in and day out, and do the little things. Let's go back over that. Grit is the strength to show up day in and day out and do the little things. That means, man, no matter what happens today, can you drink the water? Yeah. No matter what happens today, can you get the workout in? Yeah. Neil's like, I got 2 kids, I got a business, I got this. Ian, when am I going to get the workout in? Where you stand, bro. Where you stand. Whatever you're doing, you're going to get that workout in, no matter what. Sean's like, man, I got it. I got double shift. I got this. They feel they've done the work for the day. Just feel that feeling of like that accomplishment. For the last 5 years, committed to 90 days, no drinking, no smoking, killing a bad habit. I mean, dude, up until like maybe a few years ago, I'd gone 20-something years without doing it. So I didn't know what any of this shit was about. And then I started doing things like this a few years ago, and I'm like, man, dude, holy shit, I'm not the same human. I don't think the same. I thought like a trash can. I'm like, I can find a problem for everything. I can find a solution for nothing. I could start something, then stop something. I could tell somebody I was going to do something and not do it. And ultimately, it didn't even matter about my results. I just didn't I just felt like there was something within me. Milton says he's sober for 16 months. I love that, man. The best decision in my life was to get sober 250 days ago. I'm new to it. My whole life, I grew up in the car business. Our whole lives, what we did was drink with our buddies and celebrate false wins. False wins. False wins is like, hey, I sold a car today. I did really good today. I'm going to drink a beer and celebrate. Dude, you didn't earn shit. You didn't earn anything. That's not who you're supposed to be. You didn't earn the bigger life. You didn't earn the next step, man. You didn't earn the new belief. And even if you did, then you don't want to do the drinking because then you feel even worse about yourself. Okay, but level 1, grit. We got to have the grit. A lot of these things that I'm talking to you guys about you already know. But we got to be super intentional about, like Niels, as he's going about his day. I want Niels to coach himself and say, hey, bro, you did do that grit today. Hey, you didn't want to do that today, Niels, and most of the time you usually quit. And I want you to coach yourself. part of what I keep telling you guys is to find evidence, Anson, as you go along in this and you want to quit on that phone call and you don't quit, I want you to be like, you did that, man. All right, good job. Now, we're not celebrating our win, but we're counting our win and finding evidence that we're changing. There's a difference. When you find evidence that you're changing, you start really changing faster because it creates the winner effect in you. And a lot of people miss that because they're really hard on themselves. Does that make sense? They're like, I'm not changing. I'm like, bro, you couldn't even wake up on time for one day, let alone you've done that for 7. Is that a win, guys? Yeah. I'm like, dude, you usually make 4 calls. You made 40, but you're not physically seeing some type of change manifesting. And so you don't know that it's these little things over a longer period of time that are going to make you a different person. It's going to make you operate a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Okay, so fortitude. Let's read fortitude. Strength of mind that enables a person to encounter danger, bear pain, and adversity with courage. That means, man, when you go into something and you have the fortitude, it doesn't matter what pain is to come from it, you're going to go get it done. You got the courage, man. You got the courage to face the hard shit and make it look easy. You got the courage to go into number 2, which is number 3, which is positivity. Positivity is the quality or state of being positive. As we go along this vicious, crazy, fun, exciting journey of recreation, can we have a lot of fun doing it? Can we be excited? Can we pour into the group, to the people that may be struggling a little bit, and share like a funny win or something that you did? Can we create a community of total immersion where we're all contributing 1 or 2 comments or takeaways for the day? Can we do that? Because listen, man, I might be doing something that it doesn't help you break through, but Wes might be vulnerable with us and tell us something that he did today that might sound stupid to Wes, but it's big to us. What I've learned is a lot of little things to Jason are big things to Daniel. So the reason why we have a community in the school community is because, like, I get fueled up by going in there. I've probably never seen Andy as excited about something as he is about the school community. And guys, we've got on our Lightspeed platform, I think we have over 500,000 people on that platform. We haven't even shared it to him. You know, he gets in there, and honestly, you know, just the few hundred people we have in there, you guys are more fired up than the 300,000 that are in there that I don't know. They don't show up on calls, most of them. They just bought something online, and then it just sits there, dude, and they don't do anything with it. Or maybe they do a little bit with it. But how we can use this resource and also motivate each other, I think is a big factor. A leader, as they're going along the journey, they're bringing others with them through their experiences. So if you feel like you got a new thought, I want you to share it with the group. I want you to be like, hey, bro, I used to do this, and now I'm doing this, and this makes me feel good. Okay, so number 3 was positivity, but let's go back to fortitude. Fortitude is fortitude is what gets you through a pain barrier, mental or physical, pushing through a workout when you're about to puke, not giving up when the economy is collapsing and you have to sell your car, your prized possessions, and your dream life. That's fortitude. Man, I'll tell you what, man. I saw the most fortitude that I've ever seen, probably myself, when I met Andy. He was going through kind of like our level right now. He was changing his body. He was changing his mentality. You know, he had done very well, but he had also done a lot of the wrong things. He was around the wrong people, you know, and he was going through I could physically see he was going through a struggle to be this person when, like, he was trapped being this person. Does that make sense? And it's like the two were fighting back and forth. And it was like he would just like go to the gym, work out 5 times a day. And it was like I think he was working out so hard because he was just trying to like distract his mind and get through these habits of like being consistent, right? But I saw when he sold his house. And remember, he was a successful general manager, but he was around the wrong people. He had gotten out of shape. He just didn't like himself, right? And he wasn't really happy with himself. And he's very open about that. But, you know, where I come from in the inner city, when you buy a house that's like a 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom house, you put a fountain in the middle of it that's Italian marble from Italy. Your kids are growing up in it. They're 3, 7, and 4. Like that's like the American dream, right? But I watched him sell the house. I watched him give the house back. And in Oklahoma, you can move right across the street and be like in the hood. Like you see these big houses behind the fence, and then right over there is shitholes. They moved into the shithole, and they had to look at that house driving by every single day. And to me, I thought that's fortitude, because most people aren't going to make those sacrifices. Most people aren't going to go back to zero. Most people aren't going to have the courage to make the investments, to show up on the calls, to really, when it gets hard, like lean in. You know, when your workout gets hard, if your workouts aren't hard, then you're not working out hard enough. If your workouts aren't making you like almost like just nervous in the morning, you're probably not working out hard enough. And what I'm after is, Michael, how hard can you push yourself behind the scenes when nobody's looking? Because ultimately, this is just kind of for motivation. But when you want to quit, will you go to the gym? Michael, when you've had the hardest day of your life, will you go to the gym and make yourself so damn proud, you're sweating so hard, you leave that gym? And that's part of our 90-day recreation. It's literally being visual. When Wes says, oh, I'm going to quit, he doesn't quit. And for 60 straight days, we're focusing on the 60 straight days, you're going to earn number 5, which is confidence. You're going to earn number 5, which is confidence. Let's go over what confidence is in the dictionary. Confidence in the dictionary is a feeling or consciousness of one's power or resilience of one's circumstances. So it's the memory of winning, that's what it's telling me. It's the memory of winning. When I can remember that I faced that dragon and beat that dragon, it's no big deal. Andy's memory of selling his house and buying a bigger one and having to dream for 2 years and having to go through the suck and having to put everything on the line to create this life is why I think he can stay more grateful than any person in the planet. Because he has this memory of success, this trust in himself. And when you have this trust in yourself that you are going to hold the line, no matter what happens around you, you're going to ride into battle and you're unkillable, and you believe that, and you're like, dude, I was a piece of shit, and then I learned this, and then, no big deal. Give me any battle. Give me any dragon, bro. Come on, man. I'm the top boss. Let's go. It's faith or belief that one will act in the right, proper, and effective way. The quality or state of being certain. You know, I'm certain when Navy SEALs are going into a building to clear a building and everybody else is scared, I'm certain they're confident they're going to kill everybody. I'm certain they're confident they're going to run through everybody. What do they say, Daniel? He's a Navy SEAL. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You got to trust the man next to you. Right? We got a Navy SEAL on here. I think that's what they say, right? And then they go in there and they do their job and they have the utmost confidence that because they train themselves, there's nothing they can't face in that building that they're not going to encounter. I mean, dude, even while they're encountering probably the deepest, darkest shit, you think that they're like, wow, well, my God, I can't believe that these guys, these Iraqis showed up with an extra 100 men. Damn it! No, they're like, dude, hey, all right, you go that way, I'll go this way. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to kill them. Hey, most of the time they're joking around. That's why they got the camaraderie. They're like, oh, dude, this is great. They're having a good time. We're going to learn to have a good time at battle, okay? Maybe we'll have Daniel train us on some Navy SEAL shit. I'm speaking from theoretics, but, I mean, he's the actual true warrior that's did it. Maybe we'll have him run us through his first level of leadership training because he's creating his course right now. I can't wait to take his course.
You're nailing it, brother. That's what we do. We're always talking shit because you have trust and confidence in each other and, more importantly, in yourself, right?
Yep.
So that's it. Like, at the end of the day, you've done the work to where you know you're fucking ready to do and deal with whatever the fuck comes at you.
Totally, dude. You hear that? I love that, dude. You know? Man, I feel like when I go into these businesses or I go into like certain things, certain situations, I'll go on stage with 10,000 people Well, the memory of success, the memory of doing all these little things, the memory, the confidence that you have within yourself, like you walk into any room and just not air, you have no fear. Man, I used to walk into these big boardrooms with Andy, and I'm like, oh, these guys are better than me. Oh man, I just wasn't prepared at the time for what I needed to be prepared for. Whatever you're going to be prepared for, you're going to have your own battlefield. You're going to have your own battlefield, and right now, your battlefield is you. And when you can learn to beat you, then when you go get on this business battlefield or whatever this next battlefield is for you, you're going to look like it's easy. You're going to look like the Navy SEAL that's just clearing a room that's just super simple. When gunshots are going off at, let's say, like a Six Flags or something, and there's a Navy SEAL there, you think he gets scared? You think that he doesn't know what to do? You think that he's not running right straight towards all the shit, the chaos? You think he's not running towards that? He's running right at it because he knows what to do. So part of this is that awareness. And that's number 3. Or that's number 6. I think that's number 6. I never write down the numbers. I need to learn to do that. But I think that's number 6 is awareness. Your awareness of some of these things that are just holding you back a little bit, just learning to get rid of them. You know, listen. I got 50 things I don't like about myself, but I'm not going to go try to get rid of all 50. Pick one dragon that you want to slay over this next 30 days. What is it? Mine was drinking, man. You know what? Like, dude, I would have prayed to feel how I feel about drinking nowadays. You know what I'm saying? If it's food, man, I know some people, they can't drive past the McDonald's because they have to pull right in and eat. You know? I know some people, like, they can't look at certain things at certain times because, man, it cues their brain. What's taking control of your mind? The most important thing that we can have is that self-awareness and say, I'm not falling into that trap. There's learning and then there's intelligence. Intelligence is your ability to act and change a behavior. You learn something and then change your behavior, you're intelligent. You learn something and don't change, you're not intelligent. You could just be a dumbass that likes pain. Okay? So let's learn that self-awareness on this journey, and let's be just highly aware of what throws us off. Andrew Lopez, if you hang out with some losers that make you feel bad about yourself, but you continue to do it, well, who's the dumbass? You. Okay? It'd have to be you. You know, I don't know what you guys did on 4th of July, but I hung around just my team. You know, my house, they know that, like, I mean, they probably could have a couple beers before they come over to my house, but I'm not sitting around drinking at my house. I just don't, man, because right now it just doesn't work for me, right? We're drinking around, we're hanging with the family, we're having something healthy to eat, and we're just enjoying each other's time, man. I think as the older you get, you just don't want to be thrown off by little things, man. You just don't want to be surrounded by certain shit that doesn't matter anymore. Like, you're a lot more intentional with your time. But self-esteem. All right, here, let me count what we're on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, this is number 6, self-esteem. Self-esteem. This is what we're earning, and this is what the world's missing. And this could be your little issue that you're going to earn. I swear to God, you will earn a lot more self-esteem. Self-esteem is something you've got to earn. Hold on, the self-esteem dictionary version is a confidence and satisfaction in oneself. So it's just like, you're like, dude, man, hey, you're doing a good job. You're starting to treat yourself nice. Some of you, man, you talk to yourself so shitty. So like, man, you're like, and that was me, man. I was just like, man, you're a piece of shit, man. You're never doing good enough. Man, and I still struggle with that every day. You know how I beat that? I wake up and I work out early in the morning. I see a lot of people work out at night, I get it. But like, I'd be negative all day if I didn't work out in the morning. Matter of fact, I was running late today. You know, one of my, my baby, he's coming up on 4 months old. You know, he got to bed late last night. You guys know how it goes. And then one kid's got pink eye and all kinds of other stuff. And so, like, I woke up. My house is total chaos this morning. Ah! Right? But I can't. My wife knows, like, that I can't really operate that way. So, like, but I can, too. Like, I can totally operate however it's going to go. So I woke up. I knew it was going to be chaos. So I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning. I went to bed at, like, 12. I woke up at 4. I got an hour before war started happening in the house. And so, like, I intentionally understand what my day is going to look like the day before, and I got up and I got all the stuff solved. Honestly, if I would have woke up at the same time as them, I'd be spun out right now. I'd be like, So if we go back to fortitude, grit, I knew I needed to be prepared. And so I woke up a little earlier, got prepared. I didn't get to go to the gym like I normally did. I just did a bunch of push-ups, did some burpees, jumped in the cold plunge pool, and I'm ready to go. It's no big deal. Then they woke up. I got to take care of them. I got to help her. She was super thankful. She's like, oh my gosh, thank you. And, she didn't expect that from me today. She expected me to just go out the house. But then it was just a lot better of a feeling, right? But self-esteem, when we go back to self-esteem, a confidence or satisfaction with yourself. Self-esteem is something you got to earn. And you do that by living up to the promises that you make to yourself. You do that by executing on a daily basis. You're going to build momentum in life, man. Who's building momentum right now? Positive momentum. All of us, right? We're all here. We're all building positive momentum. Honestly, I feel like you guys are building the most positive momentum probably in your life. Because I see people that fell asleep for a couple of years and now I see them totally fucking going after it. Totally going after it. Like Daniel, for instance, man, he fell asleep for a couple of years, right? You got out of the military, you got lost in the world, you conformed to the world, you got the job, and then it was like, oh shit, man. And then you came down here, and he's a Navy SEAL, and I remember when he was running up the hill, there was this guy that was dying next to him. And it reminded him that it wasn't about him. It reminded him that the thing that makes him special was when he was on the team, it was about getting that other guy, bring that other guy with you, right? And he was like, shit, man, how did I forget about this camaraderie? How did I forget about this thing? And then he motivated that guy and push that guy every step of the way, right? Look, he's getting emotional. It's the truth. Because you can forget about these things, man. You can go get conformed by the world, and no matter how strong you are, you fall into that black hole for a little while, and you're like, fuck, man, how did this happen? Right? I know how he feels, because I fell into that same hole. And on that run, I got emotional, because I started seeing that another level come out of him, where it wasn't about just him, it was about other people. He started remembering all of these special times and these hard times. And that's the life experience. You know how many people don't have a human experience? They don't have emotion like he's having right now. They're just living, bro. They're not even living. They're just going day to day. They're just going day to day. They don't know, man. The fact that you're emotional just means to tell me that that's really good, man, that you're experiencing something. And a lot of people ain't experiencing anything in their brain. They're just moving. But you know what? Jackie, she gets off the run, and she's like, hey, who is that guy? And I was like, oh, he's Daniel. Andy connected with me on him. He connected with Andy on LinkedIn. See, I still remember this. There's a lot of people I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. They're not memorable. They're not memorable. And dude, I come across hundreds of people. I try to remember everybody, and I'm probably the best with faces in the world. Jackie and Andy will be like, how do you remember that person from 4 or 5 years ago? Well, it's typically not me. They typically made some type of an impression that I remember. But Jackie gets off this run, and she's like, man, that guy's got something in the tank, man. He's got a dog in the tank. So much so she went on stage, and she was giving a speech about this guy. She called him up, and she said, this guy wouldn't have made it. And the guy's like, oh, shit, what? What are you talking about? She's like, he was pushing hard, but there's no way he would have made it through this run. This guy stood 0.000 chance. He was going to quit every step of the way. But then she called Daniel up. And she's like, the only reason he made it is because he had a community, because he had a friend, because he had somebody pushing him. It's the only reason I'm able to make it. Honestly, if I didn't have you guys and what we do here, I'd just be a normal dude. Because everybody can be a normal person if you're not running with the right people with the right information. Those are two things that you have to value at the top of everything. The right people and the right information. The right people, the right information. Daniel then said, hey, man, shit, man. It took him, he's on the calls. He's growing. He's learning. And then he's like, dude, I got the dog in me. I got something in me that I could build a course. I could build something that can change the world. And I believe if he does it, it will change the world. I can't do it for him. But if he does it, it'll change the world. And you know what he'll earn? Because you earn this at every step of the way. He'll earn another level of self-esteem, which will lead him into the next one, which is self-belief. If you got that in you and you don't play it, it honestly will eat you alive. It will. Let me read a Facebook post that I put it on Facebook, but honestly, this was for my team, and then I put it on Facebook. I said, Some are born with an energy. Some are born with energy they can't contain. They don't walk, they run. They don't follow, they lead. They don't consume, they create. Because they can't keep their passion within themselves. It has to get out. Their words pull others in. Their presence shakes the room. They live outside of themselves, giving their gift, their talent, their magic to everyone else around them. If this is you, but you're holding back this vitality in, it will eat you alive. Get out of your own head and get it into the world. A lot of us are made to not play small and to just put it out there. And you got to put it out there, because if you're an obsessed person and you start to cage that animal, you start to fucking feel like the walls are closing in. And it's a very dangerous place to be. So on this 60-day, 90-day journey, what we're doing is we're releasing the dog. We're releasing the animal. We're getting more sharp. And what are we getting sharp for? Some of us might be multimillionaires. Some of us are just going to be really happy with ourselves. We're going to have a great amount of money in the bank, and we're going to be the happiest guy alive. It's totally cool. Some of us may be billionaires. Some of us may be the happiest guy in the room that doesn't have any money. Honestly, I would much rather be that guy happy with myself than the guy with a lot of money that hates myself. Do you know how many billionaires that I coach that have everything that fucking hate them? Because they sacrificed everything to get the money, and they didn't realize that all they did was create some really good habits of money. And by the way, once you make money, it's not hard to make money, because you're either leveraging one of two things to get more money: time or money. And what multimillionaires do is they just leverage more money to get more money. So it duplicates and it doesn't become hard. But you know what happens? Then they become fat, lazy, depressed, sad. They don't have camaraderie. They don't have a team. They don't have any of these things. And then they're looking around. They're like, I thought I wanted the money, but I don't want any of that. And then they're chasing this. So right now, you guys actually have the most important thing that money can't buy, which is each other, which is this journey, and which is everything that we have going on. But if you don't believe that, then just try it your way. I know that coaching a lot of these guys, I get a different perspective because I get to see how empty that they are. And if you don't want to be empty, then you have to fill your tank up with the right shit. And it's all of this. Self-belief, self-esteem. We got a couple more. Discipline, that one speaks for itself. It's the control that you gain by enforcing obedience or order. Training that corrects and molds or perfects the mental faculties and moral character. That's what they teach you. That's what they teach you in the SEALs, right? We got to go back to that, right? We got to have the discipline of holding true to the values and goals that we set for ourselves. It's not about the goal I set. It's not about the goal that Daniel has or you have, or goal that Daniel has versus what Wes has. Wes's goals could be completely different than Daniel's. But can we get Wes to his goals? What's your A? What's your B? You might think differently than me. You might think a little bit different. I don't think that everybody has to think in some grand scheme and everybody do the same shit. Honestly, you know what? My goals have adjusted. I have thought about some things, and I'm like, man, my goal, I think that 8 billion people need to change. For me, this is my thoughts. I think 8 billion people need to change what they think is success. Success is waking up fucking happy. Success is going to bed tired to me, waking up happy, being happy with who you are, seeing your kids, knowing that you're on the right mission, knowing that you're around the right people and you have the right information, and that you're getting better every day. And honestly, the money comes, but that's never made that I've always thought, because I'm a broke kid that came from I didn't have a lot of money, but the more money I've gotten, it's not made me happier. And that was so hard for me to understand, because I would go be like, I'm going to make $100,000 in a month. And then I'd make $100,000 in a month and nothing would change. And I'm like, and then that would depress me, because I'm like, well, what the fuck? Oh, I've heard people say this. Then you get the Lamborghini, and then the Lamborghini doesn't make you happy. And it's weird if you don't have it, or if you truly can understand that it is about being happy with where you're at, being happy in the shoes that you're in. Like, being happy about going on the journey. You know why a lion's a lion? Because the lion enjoys the hunt. An elephant is bigger than a lion, but the lion eats the elephant for dinner. Why? Because he just enjoys the hunt. He enjoys the pursuit. And the pursuit is really all we got. You don't have the destination. You never get to the destination. You never get there. The journey for Daniel, if it's on his heart, which is that course, is maybe building that thing so he can impact some other people, so he can have some fulfillment. That's the journey. That's what you're looking for. You know, when I was in car sales, honestly, it was the journey of just getting better, serving my customers every day, and I didn't have a big, giant vision, but I had more fun than everybody at my job. I watch people just be miserable all day long, and I'm like, I don't want to live that way. You know, I still don't want to live that way, man. No matter what I'm doing, I have a lot of fun doing it, guys. I'm a very intense, passionate person, and I can find myself in a little David Goggins mode a little too often. In the mornings, I don't listen to motivation because I get way too dark, too intense. I listen to comedy in the morning, but that's a self-awareness thing that I do to make myself like get into like a passionate, fun, creative state, which is, you know, that positivity. All right, determination. These are just oh fuck, I drank that way too quick. Oh, that burned. Oh, that was that. You guys ever did that? Oh, and it's like a carbonated bucked up. That was the worst thing I've ever experienced. Honestly, if I wasn't on Zoom with you guys, I'd probably be crying right now. But these are just like, these are commandments, man. These are like, I just got to sell myself every day that this is the truth. And no matter what, I think the devil tries to come in and convince you that it's not, and then convince you that you need money and all these different things. Yeah, you need money. You need to have a big life. If you want a big life, you can have whatever you want. But also, the most important things to me are this. You know, the determination, firm and fixed intention to achieve a desire. So if you have a desire in 60 days to be at a certain weight, a certain goal, and you achieve it, dude, you're the biggest winner in the world. You're a better winner than a UFC fighter or whoever. I think you've won the championship. I think if you set a goal last night and you said I'm 245 pounds on this total recreation, I'm going to be 225, I'm going to be this % body fat, and I'm going to drink this amount of water every day. I think if you hit that, you become something that most people could never even imagine. Because most people aren't going to be determined enough to hit it. They're just going to say it, but they ain't going to do it. The goal of this group right now is we're just going to get, when people say get a little bit better every day, we're actually going to do that. We're actually going to do that. And we're going to actually remind each other of it. We're actually going to really achieve this. And that's going to give us this most important factor of all of this to me, which is being a perseverance expert. Perseverance is the continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failures, or opposition. You know, I'll never forget, man, when I was going on this journey with Andy and I was still in car sales, and my whole life, the most important person to me in the world was my grandfather. And my grandfather was this great human. Any room he walked into, he changed people. He didn't have a lot of money, but man, everybody loved that dude, man. He was just a really good guy. And he changed millions of lives. He opened 2 schools. And I mean, didn't make a lot of money doing it, changing millions of lives. But dude, my grandfather had this internal happiness that radiated through rooms. And I remember he's married for 65 years. You know, when he went to the Vietnam War, you know, he was gone for a year. He was a forward observer, which means he would drive right to the front of the battle. And then to map it out, they would just take a right and drive to the next part of the battle and then take it. It was the most dangerous job in the military. Like, you're driving, forward observers are driving right to the front of the battle. That's why we always thought my grandpa drove the craziest. He would hit people's car and just keep driving. You'd be like, dude. And he wouldn't even talk about it, right? But, you know, my grandparents were married 60 years. They lost 2 children. One of my uncles was murdered. You know, he was 27 years old. He was an all-star rugby player. He's 6'7". You know, he was a good-looking guy, man. He just had a baby like me. Just had a baby. He came home, and his wife was taking a shower. Baby's in the crib. Ex-boyfriend's in there. Shoots my uncle 7 times. Other son, 6'6". Good-looking guys. He's an ambulance driver. He's driving down the road. He has somebody in the back. He's trying to rescue him, get him to the hospital. Somebody comes through a red light, doesn't hear the sirens. So I'm always I'll fight you if I see you on the road not pull over for sirens. I will physically take my car and force you off the road. I've done that. I've gotten in fist fights with people for not pulling over because I get triggered, and there's no way to stop me for that. And he dies. And I never saw my grandfather really fall apart too much. I mean, I saw it like he must have just done, I wish I could ask him about it today. Because as a kid, I didn't really understand. But I never saw him really fall apart. On the worst day of my life, I called her and I said, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I was falling apart, just like you normally would. And my grandma said, my grandma acted like it didn't matter. My grandma was like, Ian, he lived 67, he lived 80 years. We were married 65 years. We must go on. She's yelling at me. She's like, today's got to be the biggest day of your life. You got the biggest angel above you. Go have the biggest day. If you leave today, you're disrespecting him. And I'm like, my grandma's never even raised her voice, and she's yelling at me. And I go into the car lot. I sell 9 cars that day. I'll never forget that day. It's the biggest day I ever had. Every time I sold a car, I went to the back of the car lot and I cried. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I just want to go home. I can't go home. But what I was developing when Andy was training me was I was going through this recreation at the time. And then when this worst day of my life happened, a lot of us, we're not training just so we can make more money. We're training so we don't fall apart on the worst days of our lives. We're training so that we can get through things that are inevitably coming for us. Is life coming for us? Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. A lot of people won't be ready. We're going to be ready. Drove to my grandma's house after, and my grandma was so proud, man. You know what? And even after I saw, her husband die, my grandma stayed so strong. Like, I mean, she's never lived in a house other than when he was in Vietnam War by herself. That was 60 something years ago. The next day I go over and she's just like, I was like, so like, how does this work? Like, what are you going to do? And she's like, we're going to clean the house. We're going to get the house ready. Joe's watching us. And she would just walk around. She's like, Joe's watching us. We just got to get ready to go. And she just continued on. And I was like, she's fucking crazy. Oh, I got to tell you guys a story. This kind of motivates you, man. My grandfather fell, I don't know, like maybe 2 years, 3 years before he died. And he fell over and he hurt himself. And, he had a caretaker coming over. My grandma was taking care of him. And then he calls me one morning and he's like, Ian, I can't get up to get your grandma. She's on the ground. And I'm like, what? And he's like, she ain't moved in a day. And I'm like, what? And so I drive over there 100 miles an hour. I can't get a hold of the neighbors. I pull up. My grandma is like dead on the ground. And she's purple. And I'm like, oh my God. I call the ambulance. They come in. They're carrying my grandma out of her house. My grandma's like, don't mess up the floors. Oh my God. And she's still talking about her house. I'm like, and anyway, she had a stroke. She had sepsis in her blood. And now we got my grandpa. And he's just sitting there. And we don't know what to do with him. Because my grandpa's 300 pounds. He's 6'7". He's hard to move. He doesn't really listen. And, he's got dementia. And we go around my house. My grandma's got all these notes everywhere of like how to feed him. Like she was preparing to die. How to feed him, what medicine that he needed. And I'm like, oh my God. Like my grandpa would have died for sure if we didn't have known all these things. Right? But fast forward, we're taking care of him. And he has a caretaker and he falls again. And my grandma is now in the hospital. She's been in the hospital for like maybe like 3 or 4 months just recovering. And we're having to FaceTime them because they've never been apart and they're joking around with each other. But my grandpa falls again. Inevitably it was going to happen. I blame myself for a little bit, but he falls again and cracks his back or something and has to go to a rehab facility. Then I have to put him into one of those hospitals, right? And my grandma hates it. So now my grandma, she's in the hospital and she's doing little squats every day. You go into her thing and she's like, I'm getting prepared to get Joe. I'm getting prepared to get Joe. And I'm like, what are you going to get him from? She's like, people die in those little hospitals. I ain't going to let him die in there. He's going to die at our house. He's going to die. And she just would say this. And I'm like, this lady's crazy, man. Well, she gets out of the hospital. And you know what she does? She has all of these things we're talking about. I get my grandpa in the nicest hospital. It's right next to my house. Literally, it's right next to my dealership. I'm seeing him twice a day. My grandpa is crazy as hell. He's just hilarious, man. Even at his age, he brings all of his old army stuff. He decorates his room. He thinks he's in the army now. Still, he goes back to his army days, and it's just wild, man. And he'd be like, "Where's Jane? Where'd she go?" And I'm like, "Oh, she's coming. She'll be here in a little bit." But anyways, this is pretty cool, man. I just think that like there's just another level of love and belief and everything. My grandma now gets out of the hospital. She goes on Craigslist and she hires 2 guys, maybe 3, and she pulls my grandpa's van up to the behind the facility. It's a locked facility. There's security guards. They ain't letting you out of these places. And they call me and they're like, "Your grandma's here," because my grandma's it up a million times. She's tried to break him out a million times. They're like, "What do you want me to do with your grandma?" And I'm like, just let her take him. Just let her take him. She's not gonna give up. She's been trying to break him out for like 6 months now. Just let her take him. Just let her take him. She sneaks up the stairs. She's 80 years old. She's this big. She gets him. She walks him down the stairs by herself. I'm like, just let it happen. Let it happen. She gets him into the car with these guys. Then they help him into the car. I now am showing up because it's right next to my dealership, and I'm watching him from afar. She's physically breaking him out of this joint. We pull up to her house. She's got a ramp built. She has a blanket on it. She pulls it down. We can all see it's a ramp, but she doesn't know that. She pulls the blanket down. She's got these guys, and they're all pulling him up into there. And I walk up, and she's like, "Ian, I know I'm going to go to jail for this, but I don't care. He's coming with me. He's dying in this house." And I'm like, I don't even care. Like, I'm like, we'll just do whatever you want. She is so sure of what she wants. That's what happened, man. Whenever you want something, you're going to get it, man. You're going to get it. You know, my grandma was sure she wanted my grandpa to die in that house. He did. You know, his last day living, you know, we brought him out of his house. All of his neighbors came out. This little kid played a song, you know, one of his army songs, and we wheeled him to the ambulance. It was the last time I saw him because then on the way to the hospital, you know, I go to work. That's when he died, right? But the perseverance that my grandma displayed, the perseverance that he displayed his whole life, the perseverance that you have to go get this next level of your life, you got to have it, man. And you got to know that when these things happen, man, I draw inspiration from that. I draw inspiration from understanding that life is coming for you. And no matter what, you get to choose how you see it. So if something happens to you today and you don't like it, just choose how you view it. Kindness, man, the quality or state of being. Now that I'm done with the emotional stuff and all of that stuff, I want you to think about this. Kindness, the quality or state of being kind. Are there a lot of people in the world that are kind right now? Not a lot, man. Not a lot. I was on the way home from Mexico the other day, and if you guys have ever been to Mexico, there's the people who line the streets on the way to the border, right? And they're selling all this stuff. I gave this lady $20. Just American dollars. I was like, I don't really want the necklace and all the stuff. And she turned around and she got on her knees in traffic and she started praying. And she's like, "Thank you. Oh my God." So much so, my mom starts crying. My mom's like, "Oh my God, Ian, you're so amazing." I'm like, and then my fiance's crying. I'm like, okay. So I've got like 300 more bucks. I just start giving it to all of them because I'm like, this lady, it wasn't about me. She inspired me with her kindness of when she got the money. She was just like, "Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you." Like if she would have just took the money, I wouldn't even thought that she cared, right? But that kindness inspired me. I sent a group text to everybody in our group. I said, "Hey, will everybody get $150, $200 from the bank and give it to everybody on the border that's outside of our country that just like let's inspire some people on our way home." There's 50 of us. I'm like, we can inspire 50 families on our way home. Like, let's do it. But that wasn't about just my kindness. When that lady received something so great, she made us all feel some type of way that it made me want to give back even more. How many times does somebody give to you? You don't even look like you're grateful, so it doesn't even really inspire them to go to the next level. Like, inspire some people today, man. Be kind to some people today. When you're kind, you play a different game in your life. Yeah. When you're positive, the next one, or we already went over that, That's important. All right, we'll finish it with these last two. These last two are the most important. Self-love, an appreciation of one's own virtue, proper regard for and attention to one's own happiness or well-being. Only you are in charge of your own happiness. You realize that. Brandy's husband or boyfriend or whoever, or dad or mom is not in charge of her happiness. Mike Robinson's wife is not in charge of his happiness. She can contribute to it. But man, your security has to be in yourself. Your security has to be in yourself. Your self-love has to be in yourself. Part of this 60-day journey is loving ourselves more, man. Treating ourselves better. Talking to ourselves different. And if you can do that, then you'll start to become a different person. Some people, their biggest demon is just how they talk to themselves. That's like their biggest demon. Probably a lot of us on this call. So on this journey that we're going on in this 60 days, it's important to have that. Last one. Gratitude. The state of being grateful or thankful. You know, as I watch those people that are standing out there and, you know, I gave the lady $20 and she started crying and praying and thanking God. She's probably saying, thank you, God. I woke up today hoping I could do something. I know that people are giving these people 50 pesos for one of these little things. That's like $2 American. And I asked one of the guys that spoke American, I said, how many do you sell a day? He said, maybe 2. So she's making $4 a day maybe. Is everybody on here making $4 more than $4 a day? Does everybody on here have a roof over their head? Does everybody on here have their health currently? Does everybody on here have eyeballs, have ears? Does everybody on here have fingers? I honestly don't. My brother cut this one off and they sewed it on all weird. It hurts every day, all day. But does everybody on here have everything that they need? We kind of all do, right? So if we got nothing better but a better mentality and stronger in what we're doing, we'd be the ultimate humans. We'd be happy as shit. And that's the most important thing in life, is just being happy with who you are and what you're doing. But guys, again, all of that's earned. And that to me is what we're earning over these 60 days. So I hope at the end of this 60 days, I see all of you. I hope that at the end of this 60 days, we have stories that will transform another couple hundred lives. I know that on this journey, we'll lose a couple people, but on this journey, there's going to be like one story like Neil's that maybe impacts all of Germany, or it impacts, 10 people, or his kids, or 1 or 2 people. You know, if you're doing things only for yourself, you'll only go so far. But if you're doing things for other people, and you're doing things for a bigger vision, you'll always do them. Honestly, if I was just doing it for myself, I wouldn't do as much as I do. But I'm doing it for a team. I'm doing it for a mission. I'm doing it for a cause. I'm doing it for a reason. You know, the founders of the country, the John Adams, the George Washingtons, the average life expectancy of a male when they were living was 52 years old. Those guys were living to 80, 90 years old. That'd be like us living to 120, 140 right now. You know why? Because they had hope. They had belief. They had a big mission. They had a big vision. And they relentlessly pursued it. They thought bigger. How's the Constitution still intact? Because they thought very well back in the 1700s about what it needed to be. They were very creative. They were having a lot of fun, I'm sure, along the way. So today, guys, let's decide what we want to see. Let's decide every day. Let's build the community up. Let's go crazy. Maybe make one post today on just something you're learning, just something you're seeing. You know, help us fuel some of the other people in the group. Help us fuel some of the other people in the other group. And let's go be great, man. And I'm super thankful for you guys. I love getting to know you guys a lot more. It's renewed a passion in me because I haven't got to do like a lot of this type of coaching for a long time. And so I love getting to know you guys, pushing with you guys. I feel like this is like another ground floor of like the next level of a movement. It's like if we can create 200-300 people that change, they can go change thousands of lives. So thank you, Wes, Jason, Niels, Brandy, Joseph, Mike, Dan, Daniel, Melanie, Greg, Everybody, post your transformations in there. Let's kill it. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day and kick some ass today.